Hello everyone. This is going to be a different type of video as I want to discuss a topic outside of APUSH content. Although doing well in APUSH, and any course for that matter, is a key component of this video. So you have something to look at. Here in the backyard are videos from the bird feeder area on cold and snowy February days. We have by my count 4 cardinals among several types of birds that regularly feast there. Maybe you'll see all 4. Okay, let's jump into it. So, these are some thoughts that have been bouncing around in my mind for years. However, they have definitely been amplified by the pandemic. My school district has been fully online since mid March 2020 and just recently switched to a hybrid schedule a few weeks ago. Fully online and hybrid models puts more of the learning and initiative to learn on the student. In a typical school setting, for many students, just sitting in a physical classroom and listening to the teacher and doing all the activities will get a student through the course just fine. But that is not really the case with fully online and hybrid learning. And I think in some cases, this really magnifies the disconnect between students and teachers in regards to learning and grades. In general, whether it is my junior level AP class or my freshman level civics class, there is a focus, especially among students concerned about their GPA, on their grade. And I believe that for many students, not all mind you, but for the majority, the focus on the grade actually clouds their ability to understand the content and do well in the course. From my teacher perspective, when I plan units, lectures, and activities, I am thinking about what my students need to know or what skills they need to develop. But when a student looks at the course material, my guess is they see hurdles they need to jump over. In my opinion, that disconnect is a fundamental problem in education. As an example, since the pandemic started, I have changed the structure of my civics course to be mostly standalone 1 week modules or units. This has involved breaking up larger 2 to 3 week units, like on the legislative or executive branches, to smaller 1 week chunks, with some sort of small summative assessment at the end of each week. The 1 week standalone module will typically have 2 to 4 activities that will be meant to either build a student's background knowledge or develop some sort of skill, like creating a thesis, using evidence, or analyzing sources. Then at the end of each individual 1 week module, there is a small summative in which students are supposed to put all that information together to respond to a big question with a write up or maybe a short essay, or engage with their peers on a discussion board, or take a short exam. For a significant amount of students, they will do each individual activity within the module, but then fail to use what they have just done or learned and apply it to the summative assessment at the end of the module. Now, some of the reason is because they rushed through each activity as fast as they could, not even looking at the instructions or materials in the activity. And for others, they cannot see the forest from the trees and just look at every activity as its own individual hurdle instead of a part of a larger whole. As an example, for my APUSH students, I do a good amount of mini lessons on individual topics or primary sources within the larger context of a time period. So I will use my videos along with other resources that are very targeted and short, especially in comparison to a normal 5 days a week, 45-minute class period schedule. And even with pausing and note taking, will not take up a considerable amount of time. To check for understanding, there are questions below the video or activity, sometimes SAQs, sometimes discussion boards, but usually matching multiple choice or stimulus based multiple choice. I know the majority of my students jump right down to the questions instead of watching the video, and because we need to allow students the ability to retake endlessly and not get stuck in a module, some students will continually retake and try different combinations until they pass and move on. And the end result is they gain nothing. They saw neither the forest or the trees. And I am sure in some cases probably ended up using more time endlessly spamming the formative quiz than would have taken by just engaging in the reading, video, or activity. Then there is the even greater problem of students not engaging in school at all, which has dramatically increased with online and hybrid learning. That particular issue has so many factors, with many being very individual situations, from difficult home environments to just an inability to put video games or social media away and focus on schoolwork. I'm going to leave this aspect aside for now, although in some of those cases, what I will say next also applies to them. It will also apply to education during regular, non pandemic times. Again, I've been thinking about this topic for a while. Hypothetically, let's say all students only focused on learning the material and developing their skills. Thoughts about grades or GPA did not ever cross their mind. As a student, take a second and think, what would that look like? What would that feel like? How much better would the communication be between teachers and students with that type of mindset? Whether it is a student listening to a lecture, doing an activity, writing an essay, talking with a teacher over email, or in person? How would a student both receive information and communicate with their peers and teachers about the course and content differently if they just focused on learning and skills and not the grade? I would guess with that type of mindset and communication, the end result from both what the student takes away from the course in knowledge and skills and their grade would be outstanding. It would probably also decrease the stress of a student and create a better relationship with the course and teacher. With that mindset, I don't see how that would not be the case. I received a text from a former student a while ago, and I've thought about it extensively the last couple of weeks. He said, "Take care of the learning, and the grades will take care of themselves."